Hi, this is Ali.
Hi, this is Kat. And this is Ambitious Alignment. What does it mean to you to do it for yourself?
Okay, so doing it for myself, to me, is very important. It is the basic of what a lot of people have struggled with, as far as I know, at least in particularly in my generation, because we have been doing so many things that, for this person, for our parents, for our family, and a lot of people will resonate with that. And to me, it's important to do it for yourself.
When you say to do it for yourself, are you speaking about a career or what exactly? Because this sounds very broad.
So I look at everything from the entrepreneurship and startup world, and I'm talking about, of course, following your passion. So doing it for yourself, it could be for your career, or it could be your passion that you're following. It could be a hobby. You don't have to start a company, but sometimes those hobbies actually turn into very profitable businesses. So many people have made millions from just doing what seemed initially from a very stupid idea. Everybody told them that's not going to work and this is really stupid, but they just followed their passion, and it could have been anything. And in the process, by following their passion, by doing it, by doing what they did for just themselves, they made money out of it. Their objective may not have necessarily been money to begin with, and also not everybody is going to make that type of money just by doing it. But when you do something for yourself, the money thing just disappears. You are doing it because you love it, you're doing it because you enjoy it, and that's what life is about, enjoying what you do. So take this for example, we're doing this podcast. We've done a few sessions, and when we spoke about it, we asked the one question, why are we doing it? And the one question was that we both enjoy doing it. We both enjoy sharing our information and our knowledge with the audience. So to me, this is what it's all about, doing it for yourself. Nobody's paying us to do this. Nobody is sponsoring us. And of course, I don't see an immediate near future that we're going to make money out of this, or anybody's going to put us a couple of €1,000 per month on the table to say carry on, or earn direct revenue from the YouTube. So I just do it because I love it.
This is going to be a very triggering sentence. I'll explain. For me, it always has been a triggering
This
sentence.
is what I was going to ask you now. So what does it mean to you?
The triggering sentence is when someone says, do what you want and follow your dreams, which is exactly what I do and I have always done. But there's one little element in it that has always been triggering to me, and is exactly the money factor. That you can only follow what you love if you have money to survive, at least, right? Although, if I'm completely honest, I often didn't have any money to survive, and I still follow everything for myself, because in my understanding, the way I view the world is, what is the point of being born with a set number of potential talents that are specifically made for you, that only feed your soul, and then adjust to what other people want you to do, making everything that you were born with go to waste, so to speak. So for me, the reason I love to pursue things that feed my soul, my spirit, my mind, is because I have this deep curiosity to see how far can my own potential take me in this life. And the reason this is so exciting to me is because for many years, I thought there was a limitation to what I can achieve and to what I can do. And so the moment I discovered that actually human potential is potentially limitless, because the more you learn, the more you grow, the more you put yourself in challenging situations, the more you step out of what is comfortable, the more you will develop and change and evolve. And it is something very difficult to do in the beginning, especially very difficult to do if you are used to living a life where you believe other people outside of yourself who it is that you are. And here I'm talking about your parents, teachers, friends, society. Don't you think that we love to tell people who it is that they are and what is best for them.
What is best for them? We all give advice. So, most of us are very geared to automatically just blurb out what comes to our mind and think, do this, do that. And people give you their advice freely. The point for me is us doing it for ourselves. Does that, I don't know about you, at least in my culture and within the Iranian, families, parents are very vociferous about, the career you should follow or what they would like you to follow.
Yeah.
And of course, at least, and I think even now, the jobs like being an engineer, being a doctor, being a lawyer were prestigious and money earning, and they were brought up to, help their kids to study and become one of these and have a prosperous life. And of course, I did not fit into following what my father and my parents, not necessarily my parents, but I should say my father here, he really just did not, want me to carry on doing the way I wanted to go. I went a different path to what he wanted.
What did he want you to do?
He wanted me to do engineering and to go into his company and work with his company. And
you
that.
went?
And I defied him, so I went to do genetic engineering, which got nothing to do with, him. What he was doing was manufacturing washing machines.
What was his problem with genetic engineering? That sounds pretty prestigious.
Yeah, but it doesn't help him in his business.
Oh.
So he's running this huge business, and he wanted somebody to take over the reins of the factory, of the whole business, and he's grown this, and of course it's baby, and I can totally understand that. It's his baby, so he's grown it, and he wanted the company business to carry on, to be profitable, and of course gave us a very, very comfortable life. I studied in Europe. He paid for us and 2 kids, me and my sister, and on top, with the exchange rates from Iran, where he lost 90% on each exchange, so he was only able to send 10% of each earnings over to us. That is the horrible exchange rates during the war, and even now it's even worse. So therefore, the company was a good company. It generated a lot of money, but it was of no interest to me. So doing it for yourself, and the reason I say this, and the reason I said is important, is because I think many people would fall into that. And I was going to ask you, did your parents want you to do something as well? Something maybe that they were saying, oh, you should be doing this.
So my answer to that, both of my parents were encouraging for me to follow whatever it is that I love. And when I was 20, was I 20? No, I was 19, I think, when I went to art college to study animation, to study cartoons. Both of my parents said, pursue your dream. The difference is, since I grew up with my mom and my dad was absent for a number of years, her position was that the moment I finished art school, she expected me to get a job right away. Since I didn't find a job in art within the first few months, she said, you have to find a job in something else because you have to be working. So I did. I started right after university working at shops, real estate. I went through the entire industry list of jobs that do not need an education. Then 5 years down the line, no, sorry, not 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, where I have been working in all sorts of jobs that completely did not fulfill me, working for other people, feeling depleted energetically and exhausted, and not having the time for art. Plus, I was not following with where art was developing. I was really stubborn about doing traditional art as opposed to learning about digital art, and that was stopping me. In 10 years, I decided that I actually want to do things for myself. I was sick of working for something I did not enjoy, and I thought this is a waste of my life. It's either now or never, and I actually quit and went for art. And it's been 5 years and a bit, and my parents' positions, my mom still is unhappy with the fact that I'm not making any money in art. It is very difficult to have a stable life, so she does throw in suggestions even now, saying that you've tried, it's time to get a job, it's time to get a job.
Mm.
And when I mentioned to her recently that I am studying public speaking, I have not said anything about the podcast because she'll think I've joined a scam. But about my public speaking, she says, why are you doing public speaking? Who are you planning to be, the president? You said you want to do art, so go and do art, or what is this talk?
Public speaking isn't art.
Anyway, we don't have an understanding there. My dad, on the other hand, he says, do what you love and just put 100% of your soul into that. He says, and don't listen to anyone else, and just tunnel vision, go, 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 go. And he says, you will achieve it. He's my greatest supporter in times I think, if it wasn't for my dad, if it wasn't for you, you've played in I think the biggest role this last year in me continuing to pursue what I love and not giving up on myself. And I think that is very important. As long as we have one person who encourages us and believes that if we follow what we want and we'll do it, that gives us a lot of courage, strength, and actually gives us the thought that maybe it is possible. Because it's very hard to be confident in your own thoughts to pursue something. Yeah. We are naturally inclined to seek for validation from someone, especially if we were brought up and programmed to believe that doing what you want is not the right thing, although it feels like the natural thing.
That's exactly the thing. So, you see, you've started it, you did it, and you did it for yourself. You went into arts. And just as you did it, I did it. So I defied my father. I didn't study mechanical engineering or electronic or industrial engineering. I went and did genetic engineering, which I've never used in my life. And which I feel sometimes guilty a little bit about, but I learned a lot, which I've later on applied to something else. Yet, when I finished my studies at university, I also started what I love. I did it for myself because I love computers and the world of IT and the world of internet. I went back into what I love and I did it for myself. And I started from zero, and I mean absolutely zero.
Computers.
I started from 0.
Was that something you always loved?
I always loved it. I loved programming. I got my first computer when I was 14.
And why did you not study computers instead of engineering?
Because my parents thought, well, computers in those days, we're talking 1985.
Oh yeah.
Okay?
No mind,
so,
it didn't exist.
Yeah. In those days, they were just beginning, and my parents thought, okay, this is a game box, and it's not going to really be a life. It's not going to earn any money.
Yeah.
And they could only see it as a toy, let's say. They could not see the future into it. Although, right at that point, when I was 14, I wrote programs for databases, for this, we had a friend who had a shop, so I was thinking, okay, I can write his database so that he can keep a track of stocks and what he sold and print receipts for people, and for my father and for his factory and for his selling and keeping track of all the sales and inventory, and my mother when she goes shopping. These are the things that came to my mind so that I could see the future uses. I even remember talking about creating some games, and the two games that came to my mind, I remember playing golf on the computer and skateboarding. Those two games I really honestly remember. I told my IT teacher, what about creating these two programs? And he said, don't be stupid. Who would like to sit on at home playing golf on a computer? Or
your grandchildren?
Well, everybody. Look at the iPad. It's got golf games. It's got skateboard games. I played a skateboard game on my mobile, but I saw it. I thought it would be something that they would use.
Yeah.
Of course, technology in those days was not there yet, but I could see that there would be a use. There would be a need for it, and there would be a requirement for it.
As well.
And you have those things. We kind of like sometimes have these visions, see into the future, and this is why I say, do it for yourself.
You know what's interesting though? I have been, fixated, sounds like a negative word in a way, on art, on following and becoming a cartoonist, and I still love it. And the reason I joined my personal development endeavor, found a lifestyle in it, and fallen in love with it, the reason I embarked on personal development was because I knew that it is very difficult to make a name out of yourself as an artist and make money. It is a very challenging profession. And therefore, I had to use all of the hacks available to me that would enhance the chance for me to make it. And so I decided that I would implement every single hack of high productivity I found in personal development. I would listen to a lot of leaders in personal development and apply that. And along the way, I have fallen in love to a lifestyle of a high performer and everything in personal development. I lived hermit mode, just studying and drawing, doing those things at the same time. By studying, I mean just listening to podcasts. And now I actually find myself in a place where I feel a lot more drawn to see how I can make a profession inside the personal development field. I'm just enamored with it. And for the time being, I feel like stepping aside from art. I don't think it is a permanent step aside. I feel like I will actually end up implementing it into.
I think it'll be both. I don't think you need to separate it.
But for now,
a lot of people actually have a couple of pots burning at the same time.
Yeah.
So you could have the two passions, and you could have two things together. I mean, your art is amazing.
Yeah.
I fell in love with your art. I've seen your potential. I could see how amazing it is, and that's how we started talking about doing things together. And we started working on a couple of projects together. And I asked you to do this and the other for me. So I think that will always remain with you. But of course,
we have a dog here.
You've gained an experience, and you're also utilizing that experience, and that's no different to me. I had a startup. I still live from that startup. I still work with the startups and my IT company, and I have clients in that IT company. Yet, through having worked in that startup, I gained so much experience that I now have this sideline business where I help entrepreneurs. So they're two different businesses, but they're parallel, and they work alongside each other.
Let me just unlock her.
Sure.
Otherwise, it's going to be.
We have a third guest there. Yeah. You can come and join us.
This Lucy.
So Lucy, we had an earlier conversation today, and you agreed that you wanted to create a startup as well, didn't you? I know what your startup is.
Before I forget the thought, I'm not saying I've stepped away from art forever. No, because that is a passion, my passion. That is something. That is a part of me. I love doing it. However, I feel like since I've spent so much time trying to push it, that I've reached a burnout stage, and I need a break. Just a little bit of time to breathe, and then return to it with an energy that is not so dense and blocked in a way. I feel like
it'll come to you. So these things will have their balance, and once you start feeling comfortable with it, I think the most important thing that I wanted to add to it is that it's perfectly fine to have two passions.
Oh, more than two.
Or more than two.
I think doing it for yourself is not about choosing one thing. I think it is about choosing, let's say, 5 things. Why 5? Because too many, you won't be able to develop
you need focus.
You need enough time and focus to develop yourself and grow in each one. So for me, art, something that I live off, so it's my profession and hobby, I love it. Personal development, a lifestyle, and hopefully as well a profession, because one thing I love about personal development and what draws me into it is the fact that it genuinely helps you to live authentically in alignment with your spirit and helping you become a better person and unravel your personal potential without having to adapt to other people. And I think that if I do it, if you do it for yourself, I do it for myself, it actually works as a spark of courage and confidence for someone else to do it for themselves. And then fitness, resistance training, because this is body health. And I forgot, what else do I do? Well, mindfulness, meditation, and nutrition. So everything, mind, body, and soul, what works for me, a different thing works for everyone else. And I think that's a fulfilling life.
Yeah, I love what you said, because it actually falls into the next thing that I want to explain. There's, when you do it for yourself, there's, on the business side or aspect, the way I look at it now is there's two sides. So there's when you start business, when you start an idea, and you're doing it for yourself, and you have an objective. So you're going to create, let's say, postcards, and you start drawing postcards, and your objective is to sell postcards. So you know very well what you're going to do. Then you start producing a product, and you then plan, okay, I need so many sold per week, per month, this is where I'm going to sell it, and this is how much money I'm going to earn, this is what it's going to cost me. And that requires some sort of planning and some sort of an objective. So the focus is clear, the path is clear, and you're going on business explained, the word I'm looking for is gone from my mouth, but defined. So it's a defined, more or less, path. The other one is where the path is not defined, like following your passion, doing it for yourself, like this particular podcast, where you're doing it because you love it. So it's a hobby, and you don't start it necessarily as a money-making machine, or you know that it's going to generate money in the future, but nobody believes in you. And I've got a number of good examples for that, and I've seen so many. So there's Elizabeth Zoe, I think if I'm correctly, Zoe or Zoe. She was the first vlogger, if I remember correctly, fashion vlogger, where she used to buy clothes from different department stores and wear them, and video herself. And of course her parents thought she's nuts, what is she doing, and she's wasting money and she's wasting her time. And of course within a couple of years, what happened is that she became the first fashion vlogger, and all the brands were after her, and they were going to pay her millions just so that she would wear their clothes and do a video. And the next one, for example, is Josh Ostrovsky, and he did very stupid photographs on Instagram. He's the first big influencer on Instagram. He would paint his belly, with different things, and he would take a photograph of himself. Stupid things, and both his parents, educated people, university graduates, thought this is absolutely stupid again. You're never going to make any money out of it. And I don't think even he knew that he's not going to make money out of it. He just did it probably because he loved it.
I still doubt if I am going to be making money consistently from art. I've been doing it for 5 years, and I struggle. For example, even you helped me create a website for caricatures, and I've only sold one, which is for you. And
we'll get to that
it makes me just question, maybe this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe I am being redirected by the universe, which is absolutely fine. I'm happy to do art for myself. I'm happy to do it for the podcast. But then the question is, what do I live off? I have to eat.
Right, so there, I will actually turn it back to you, because you did one caricature. Did you do the second one? Did you do the third one? Yeah, here's the thing. If you were producing caricatures continuously, you were churning up caricatures without anybody paying you, that would be following your passion.
Sure,
yeah,
but then I have
that would be creating art form where at some point somebody would start buying it from you. Here you've created a product. Here you have created a product. And that product line is, I can create a caricature for you, or you. And that goes into the next part where I explain why some startups actually fail, why people like you sometimes get stuck in that phase of, okay, you've had your first clients, you've had your first sales, but beyond that, you're not achieving the next sales. And a lot of people actually give up in this phase. And it could be a number of different reasons. It could be because there is no market for it, or it could be because you are not doing actually the marketing. But I don't want to get into that. However, you have that talent, you have that passion of the art. You did follow your passion in art for 5 years. You said you gave it, you did a lot of work, and I know you did make a fair bit of money before me from another project that you did. So the money is in there. The money is in there, and it's only a matter of making sure you find how to tap into that market. So marketing has got nothing to do with the starting it for yourself. The starting it is the first step. So when you do it for yourself is that first step of getting started. Once you've started it, of course, you need to take next steps in order to be successful.
Is the next step only marketing, like calling, sending emails, offering, is it just that?
Not necessarily just. It could be a lot more than just cold calling or cold emailing and things like that.
Because honestly, I feel like it is something that is obvious to you, but it is so not obvious to me. What do I do now? The only thing that became clear, okay, send out emails and keep going, because out of 25 people, only one will reply statistically, from what I remember you telling me. What else? You're saying there's more things though.
Okay, marketing. I don't think I'll be able to even explain it in this one session, so I'm not going to go into it. Okay. But marketing is the most important thing in any business. It's the most important thing. If you don't sell, you don't have a business. You could have the best product. You could have gold sitting on your table. If you don't sell it,
so when you do something for yourself, you have, let's say, two people, both of them are genuinely very good at what they do. Yet one just gets a flow of clients and his business is like, cool products, and it just spreads. And the other one is struggling and can barely get one client every few months.
Visibility. So you've got to see where the distribution channel is, where they're getting their lead from. I remember watching a movie about this Mexican astronaut who made it to NASA, and for years, he kept applying to NASA and they rejected him, and he finally said, "F it, I'm not going to do it anymore." And his wife said, "What are the others? Why are the others getting in? What do they have that you don't?" And he went and identified every single thing that they had and he didn't.
Market research.
Okay, so what is it that your competitor is doing that you're not doing? Where are they receiving their leads from? And why are you not receiving those leads from there? What are they doing that you're not doing? And this is one of the things that you need to look at, because selling art, of course, you say it's difficult, but I think anything is difficult these days, and anything is easy these days. And I will say this in parallel, because a lot of people think, starting a business is difficult, and I need to find clients and nobody's buying from me. Of course, people need to trust you. People need to find use for your service. There are all those to come. So how are you going to build your reputation? I spent 4 years, not 4 years possibly, but 2 years doing a lot of free work, giving a lot of free mentorship to startups. And I still do a lot of free mentorships of half an hour to an hour, so that they can see what I have to offer. If it's good for them, if it fits, then they can buy a pack. Then they can buy one of my services. And this is where you've got to also find your sales channel. And anybody else, this is what I'm going back. You either got defined businesses where you will have steps to follow. So if you're going to sell your art form, there will be steps that you need to follow in order to reach that success, in order to reach sales, in order to make it to a business. Or the other one where you follow a passion, follow a hobby, where suddenly down the line it generates revenue, but during that course, it's zero revenue.
And what do you think about the following? For instance, I have a psychoanalyst who is attempting to help me get my life to its best state. And right now...
Is it not already?
There's two things that he is just hitting against the wall with me, because I'm stubborn, that he is telling me will help me finally get a financial success and stability in my nervous system, get out of an environment that isn't exactly serving. Our psychoanalyst suggests I get a part-time job and follow my passion at the same time, which is what I want to do for myself. I am stubbornly against that, because I think if I get a job, it will deplete me of energy a lot, and that will actually mean I'm not 100% in doing what I want, and it would deteriorate me. And I know I have resistance in it, because I just developed a resentment for 9-to-5 jobs and working for other people. I have to enjoy it at least. There has to be some sort of purpose. I don't mind a part-time job.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, when I think what type of part-time job here in Marbella, in a restaurant, in a shop, it just makes me feel miserable. Personally, me,
Yeah.
just because I've done it and it's not what fills me. I am a very energy-driven person. If something doesn't give me energy and doesn't fill me, it starts taking me into depression. Maybe that's a weakness, that's a downside of me. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
It's a difficult question to answer, and I would go to how long can you live without, and then having a plan to make sure, okay, at this point, I need to start generating revenue. So I was clear about these two paths and the necessity to differentiate between the two, because in one, there is an objective of earning money, there's a business and there's a business plan. You need to do sales and you need to generate revenue because there are costs that you need to cover for your business and your own costs, living expenses.
Yeah.
This is doing something for yourself where generating revenue is an objective and you need to have a very good plan. But you're doing it for yourself. Hobby or passion. You already have an income. You work somewhere for a company that already is paying you, but you come home and you start writing a book, but you come home and you start painting, but you come home and you start podcasting. I know many people like that who have a job or don't have a job. They have enough income, or their children at home and their parents can support them for some time, or they live on bare minimum because they think this is what they want to do. They're not willing to do anything else, and this is their passion. So when you do that, this is where you've completely got to change your focus from money to passion. Money has to leave the equation from this particular path.
As long as you have money coming
Absolutely.
from somewhere else.
Okay, so sometimes you can't, and you want to follow your passion because this is your passion and you need the money. In which case, you need to take on a job in order so that you can follow your path, in order that you can do what you love. And if that job gives you the money for you to be able to follow your path, then that job should be energizing enough for you because it's allowing you to do what you love. So even though it doesn't align 100%, even though you think it's temporary. I read the story of one of the greatest Iranian authors, and he said he left home and his father's business when he was 18 or 19, and he went to work as a bricklayer, like in construction sites. And he said, of course, it's not a construction, it was not a bricklayer, he had no trade.
I actually don't mind that.
He did the worst type of the part of the job. And he was paid peanuts, he was paid shit, but the only thing he cared about is having enough money to eat, a place to sleep, and the minute he got home, he went back to work on his book at night. And for 10 years, he worked on this masterpiece. And of course, he's a famous Iranian author. Everybody knows him. He gives speeches everywhere, he's well thought after. But he had to do something in order to pay the rent, the food, and be able to follow his passion.
Yes.
Does that make sense to you? So I would never say to anybody, go work in a restaurant or go work. But hey, if you really have to, and you can make ends meet, well, do it. Do it. At least you have a little bit of money. At least it pays for a little bit of something. And in the meantime, you create that balance, and you transit. You make the transition to the other. And many people do that constantly. So I've done that.
I understand that I might be sounding very entitled, but these are literal emotions that swirl inside me, and I'm aware that they are borderline me being delusional and childish. I'm like swinging there. I'm totally aware of that. I'm just acknowledging the fact that these emotions exist and I'm observing them, and they really don't want to do it. But then I think that they are probably at the same time creating an image that doesn't even align with reality, that it's actually not going to be horrible, and actually I can work somewhere that is even enjoyable.
That work could actually be the place where you could start something, let's say in a restaurant. You could start working in a restaurant, but as an example, yeah? But within a couple of weeks, where you start taking a couple of videos and you do a couple of images, you know, videos and caricatures or things for that restaurant, they could see a different potential in you. They could see, oh, well, hold on, you were serving, but you could make them a lot more
Here's
money.
a pizza. Let me quickly take a video.
A lot more money doing marketing for them. People can see talent. So if there's a good business owner, they should see the talent within you and utilize that talent. And of course, if they don't utilize it, go after the next one.
I should continue with my psychoanalyst. I have so much shit to work through.
Okay, but doing it for yourself, for me, is this. So you're doing it for yourself, even if it means taking on another job, because you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah? And of course, do you really need to do it? Do you not need to do it? How long can you live? Are you going to focus? Are you going to focus on business strategy, where you have a strategy and you focus on your business, or you want to get paid in order to follow a passion?
I don't think
that is very important to decide.
I was just gonna say, I don't think any restaurant is going to hire me if they stumble upon this episode.
Okay, I actually, you know, I always have a go at anybody who says, I don't think this is going to work, or anybody's going to hire me, or this, because I always say, be careful with what you say and don't bring in the negative. So I think people will. I think you're an extremely talented. Huh?
I don't want a restaurant.
Well, that was only an example.
But anyway, we can move on to the next topic, and I will reflect on this.
Okay, so I think I've pretty much covered the most important things, that why it's important to do it for yourself. And to recap, I go back, you know, you start doing it because you've got a business idea, and you're doing it for yourself, not because your parents have told you, not because somebody's forcing you to do it, and it's a strategy that you're going to follow. You know where you're going, there's a focus, there's a plan. Or you want to follow your passion, and your passion, you must remove the money out of it because you're doing it, and the money will come as a byproduct of you having followed your passion. Or you need to follow your passion, but you don't have the money to survive, in which case you take on a second job so you can follow your passion.
And one more thing to add to that is what I told you before we recorded, is that if a person doesn't know what his passion is, the advice I heard about that is think of something that you like, at least a little bit, and develop skills in that industry, in that profession, become so good that actually, naturally, a passion will begin to develop, because we feel passionate about the things that we are experts in.
True. A talent is also very much developed. A talent is something, you know, you got to work on. You're not born with it 100%. You know, of course, like you have an amazing talent in drawing. I don't have that, but I could work, and if I work, I will come maybe close to you. But because it's not my passion, and my passion is programming, therefore I love that. Yet it doesn't come without the effort.
Everything comes with the effort.
Yeah, so this is the talent is not without the effort.
I'm sure you could become an amazing artist.
You can learn a talent.
But as you said, the reason why you have to like it is because regardless of what you choose to grow in, what industry, you have to be willing to put in consistent hours for a very long time.
Sure.
And to do something consistently, repetitively, the same thing for so long, you have to like it.
Yeah.
So you could become a good artist, but since it's not something you like, you'd get bored and you'd want to quit.
Yeah. So I think it says it all, to be very honest. And with that, I think we can let people know what we're going to talk about next, which is why you can do it.
Why you can do it.
because you've just said it, talent can be acquired. And we're going to say why you can acquire it, why you can start a business, and a lot of us get stopped. So we're going to talk about why you can do it, how you can get started on your business, and all the subjects around that.
Amazing. This was Ambitious Alignment, and please follow your fucking passion. Oh.
She wants to high-five these, right? Last time
Left him hanging. Perfect ending.
obviously she's not as excited as last time.